That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about God Save the Queens, the directorial debut of one Jordan Danielle Hinson, which premiered at the 2022 Tribeca Film Festival.
I was very excited to watch this because I like drag queens.
I do too. It's been a long time since there was a good film featuring them.
And we're still waiting, I guess, because I did not enjoy this one. Okay.
No, I surely didn't. And I did, I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt considering kind of the amount of notable, RuPaul's Drag Race women. Fixtures that are in this, paired with some notable...
Hollywood types.
Comedic stars, if you will. I'm not familiar with the previous work of Jordan Danielle, who was previously an actor named Jordan Hinson, probably best known for kind of being a child star in a television series called Eureka. She since wrote a film that Peter Facinelli directed a couple years ago called Breaking and Exiting, which I have not seen. Of course, Mr. Facinelli makes an appearance in here. It's just a very confoundingly written film. And you know what? I think it speaks to someone being enamored with the subjects and the objects they have in front of them, but not being able to kind of cohesively control or direct them.
I agree. The filmmaker clearly has an admiration and an adoration for the art of drag. So that's lovely. But yeah, it's better constructed and easier to sit through than something like Cherry Pop.
I don't know. I think they're very much on par because...
I don't know. Cherry Pop was pretty hard to sit through.
The ridiculousness of this narrative, everything really kind of negates itself.
That's true too. The quality of this is better than Cherry Pop.
The quality is better because you have some actual pros on the sidelines.
Sure. Okay. The basic story is... This story revolves around 4 drag queens who are all having issues in their professional and personal life, but mainly professional. And these 4 drag queens converge at like a wellness retreat, which somehow only has 4 people attending the retreat, I guess, because we witnessed them doing like group therapy sessions. And the first one they do with the assistance of like the employees. But then the 2 counselors say, oh, we have to leave to go buy some CBD. So sorry, just talk amongst yourselves. And that's when we're introduced to God. But the 4 drag queens don't know that it's God. They just see this black woman played by Luenell. And she has a very soothing presence and seems to know all. So they're very open with her.
You mean capital H-I-M?
So... The 4 drag queens sort of each share their story of like what has brought them to this retreat, which is there's a lot about this story that doesn't make sense to me, but the biggest part that doesn't make sense is how they ended up at the retreat.
All at the same time.
All at the same time with no one else there. How did they pay for it? Because some of them don't have any money.
And only get to talk about one story. I think it's worth noting that Jordan previously directed a short film called Marmalade.
Okay, but just to finish up the story, they're at the retreat, the 4 drag queens, God is there talking to them, but they don't know it's her. They just think it's some black lady. And they share their stories to no resolve. Like, it amounts to nothing. We just see sort of like from A to B, the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and basically God saying, see, you did it all by yourself.
But what did they do?
Talk therapy. I guess, but according to why some of them are even there for therapy when they've kind of.
So let's break down. We'll start with Marmalade. So you said she wrote a short story called Marmalade,
featuring Kelly Mantle, who's also credited as consulting producer here, again playing the character of Marmalade.
So Kelly Mantle is a RuPaul's Drag Race alum. I actually saw her last month downtown while you were in Cannes. And I thought she was transfixing. Like, she's such a great talent, and she sang a song, and she's so funny. And I think she can act. Like, in this film, I think her acting is better than the dialogue she's given.
Yes.
Her character...
That final monologue, though.
Well, I'm so confused with her character because we meet her being picked up to go to work by another drag queen played by Vicky Vox. And they get into Vicky's car to drive off. when this very attractive young man like runs up to the car and says like, Marmalade, Marmalade, like clearly he wants to do drag and he wants her help and she wants nothing to do with him. Which, first of all, just that being a gay man, I just didn't understand on what planet someone like those two people would not entertain this attractive young man. But either way, she's not into him at all.
Well, he's a minor.
Is he?
I think.
I don't think so.
I don't know. It's questionable. They didn't confirm that. Although he does show up at the bar.
He's in the bar. He has to be of age. If he's at the bar and he's trying to do drag and whatever. The point is, she seems annoyed by him, which seems to serve no purpose. Then, sorry, something on my face. Then her arc is that the bar she works in, which is owned by Peter Facinelli, he tells all the queens, oh, this person who runs like a bar in WeHo, but we don't know where they are. It's clearly LA. Much of which, a lot of the scenes were shot very close to where we live, which I thought was amusing. But he says, oh, this big person who owns a bar or runs a bar in WeHo is looking for a new bingo host. The stakes seem very low, like
they are,
because they already have a job at a gay bar as drag queens, and then
especially for the resulting explosion.
He's acting like they're about to win American Idol or something. But anyway, that person is Michelle Visage, not playing herself. So the young man tells Marmalade, "Oh, I was in the bathroom and overheard Michelle Visage saying that she wouldn't want you because you're too old. It doesn't matter that you're funny." So she goes on stage, is not particularly funny, and then she sees that Michelle Visage is not paying attention to her, like she's texting. And then she goes into this long rant, which was very awkward.
Yes.
And then walks off the stage and has a breakdown.
Well, collapses against the door, like.
And then the audience starts clapping, and then we see Michelle Visage saying like, oh, well, maybe they do like her. The end. So we don't know if they're going to hire Marmalade or what happens to Marmalade. We don't know. What resolve she found, we don't know. Then there's a drag queen named Gigi.
Played by Jordan Michael Green, who we're kind of introduced to first.
Yeah, and we see that he's having a hard time finding legit work or like a day job, but wants to be a drag queen. And the thing I found so stupid was instead of just doing drag at a bar like every other drag queen when they want to get started, this fool has rented a theater to have a one-person performance.
A one-woman show, like Emma Stone in La La Land, which seemed ridiculous in that movie, too.
Like, what? So, he has a friend who's rich and tells the friend, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this theater. Although he says he's passing out flyers saying that entrance is free.
Yep.
So how the hell was he thinking he was going to pay for this theater? But the friend says, oh girl, I'll pay for the theater and I'll make sure there are people in those seats by any means necessary. So what does this fool do? Print out a bunch of flyers and digital stuff saying that Gigi is going to be joined by this famous person whose name is Harlowe. We don't know what Harlowe does.
Pop star or something?
We don't know because when we see her on YouTube, they show
that's
a
right,
clip of
she's
her
on
on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah.
She's just talking. But then when we meet her again, she's like doing a photo shoot. We don't hear her sing. I don't know. She can't be a model. She doesn't look like she's a dancer.
Well,
I don't know what this lady does.
In a world with the Kardashians, it doesn't matter. They just are.
So that was silly to me. But of course, the show is sold out. Well, you can't even say sold out because it was free. The show is highly populated. And then Gigi gets a call to go meet Harlowe. And Harlowe's like, bitch, I went to your little raggedy show.
The show goes disastrously, by the way.
Yeah, the show's a disaster because when the people realize Harlowe's not there, they're mad. So Harlowe meets Gigi and says, girl, I saw your shit, your raggedy shit, and I have two options. I can sue you, but there's no point because you're broke. Or I could have you join me on tour as my opening act.
Dreams do come true.
And then dreams do. So then we don't see Gigi giving her an answer, but then we see her leaving the building and then like sort of being excited. That's it.
And then going to therapy.
Okay, but we need to get to that.
Okay.
Because we don't know when they go to therapy. But then the other two drag queens are a pair. And they're played by Laganja Estranja and Alaska Thunderfuck, who are also RuPaul's Drag Race queens. They were a very famous, as we're told, like duo. But then they broke up because one of them was sleeping with the other one's boyfriend. So now they seem to be doing poorly. When all of a sudden these two guys in black suits come and say, we have the opportunity of a lifetime, but the only way it'll be executed is if you do get back together. So they do. And the only scene in the film that I thought made sense was the actual director plays a casting agent, and it looks like they're going to be on like a reality show. And she is sort of like manipulating them to say and do things to create drama. And I thought that was very effective because it felt authentic. And then
that's people would do that because presented it doesn't feel authentic.
I think it's the one part of the story that to me made sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
done poorly.
So Alaska and Laganja fight, but then they realize why are they doing this? They were better together, and all of this over some man who's just playing both of them. The end. So amounts to nothing. Okay, so my question is, the way the therapy's structured and the way the stories are told, it's so disjointed that did all of this happen after? Like all of it had to happen before therapy because we're witnessing them telling their story. So what did they get from therapy? What was the purpose of going to group therapy?
Again, that's what I meant when I said it kind of negates itself because you have
You're
Luenell
right.
as God saying that you all you're all doing it for yourselves.
Can I just run through my notes? When we first meet Gigi, she goes to a job interview with this racist-ass white lady who doesn't want to hire her, initially because she's black, and then she seems to be okay with that, but then she's not okay that he's gay. The pants Gigi is wearing, who I think his boy name is Klein.
Yes.
Chill. What's that joke Coco made of RuPaul about those high water pants?
Coco.
And like Katrina.
Oh, during his
The flood.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
Look like the Black Pee Wee Herman.
Okay, so one thing I learned from watching this movie is homosexuals like to talk to themselves.
That was my problem. It's like, why would you write two drag queens that have the exact same behavior pattern? Is that they just
Talk to themselves?
Or Kelly Mantle.
Well, she has a bird.
Kelly Mantle fares a lot better because that seems like that I could believe this person does this, but poor Jordan Michael Green is left awash in platitudes.
Then we see the bar Alaska's performing in. We see that she's performing with a group of drag queens.
Oh, Manila Luzon.
Manila Luzon is in it. And it's supposed to be made to seem like she doesn't know how to do drag, but it's like, what drag queen who looks that good would not be good at what they're doing?
And then there's an awkward scene where Manila's supposed to be drunk.
Oh God. But I was going to say, the environment is they're in this bar. It appears to be like 2 p.m. It's broad ass daylight.
Yeah.
Like the sun is up here. And there are like 7 people in this bar. We'll get to that. But yeah, that made no sense. Then there is a young man or person in the bar, I'm not sure of their gender, who has Down syndrome. And I thought that was a really awkward scene because, of course, having someone with Down syndrome in the movie is not weird, but like they make this person be like a fan of Alaska's and asking.
Alaska and Rita. Well, Rita and Alaska's name in it is Stevie Dix.
I don't know how I feel about that because I feel like if, that character needed to be done well, and it wasn't the actors acting that was bad. It's just like, it just felt like so...
It just felt like...
What is the point?
This whole film feels like things tossed... Ideas about how to feature drag queens that are just kind of tossed together pell-mell.
I just brought it up because as it was happening, I'm like, I don't know if like this was appropriate or necessary.
That said, I feel like there were things that I was interested in. I was interested in a character like Laganja and seeing Laganja on screen in this fashion.
Who I actually did think looked lovely, and her acting, is not...
Again, I think
she's no Sigourney Weaver, but...
Of course not. But I think with somebody that was better at directing these performers and kind of playing to their strengths.
Yeah. The retreat they go to is called Serenhaven, which I thought was funny. And Serenhaven has a commercial, like all of these wellness retreats you find in like Malibu or Santa Barbara. So, not cheap. So again, how did these 4 drag queens with no damn money end up at this retreat on their own?
And why is Gigi there? Who told her to go?
Especially and who told, because they're all disgruntled. They all act like they don't want to be there, and the only two, Laganja and Alaska, were told they need to go to therapy. But the other two are not. So yeah, why are they there?
Why are they there?
And how are they paying for
I'd
it?
imagine you were saving your note about lighting.
Well, let me talk about it. Because part of Kelly Mantle's monologue at the end, when she's yelling at Michelle Visage, is about like, yeah, I know my skin looks whatever, terrible, and my pores are huge. I don't understand. I don't know if these queens knew as they were being filmed that the lighting was going to be so bad. I mean, it is terrible. What drag queen has not commented that day drag is like their nightmare? This film is so oddly lit.
Well, also
even the scenes in the clubs are bright.
Could we? Did somebody in production not know about day for night?
Yeah, the lighting is so unflattering. It made me feel bad for these queens.
A lot of this made me feel bad for them
Yeah.
because it's not selling them in any of their best light. Like it's none of them come across well.
This movie doesn't have the budget, I'm assuming, to license like music, like pop music we know. So like, it's especially obvious in Gigi's one woman performance, because it basically looks like she's doing 3 lip sync numbers with different outfits. And then it's just like this generic music playing in the background.
They didn't even need to have that montage, really, because we have the duality of her speaking to Harlowe later and confirming what was exactly going on there anyway. And then, of course, these monologues with God to provide the exposition for this story. If this could have been written where this could have tied together, but it's so lazily...
These queens are so loosely tethered together in a situation that makes no sense, and then engaging in this activity of like doing group therapy that is timed like after they have all reached a point where they seem to have a plan maybe for moving forward. So, I mean, it's not nothing. Each character does, Gigi gets offered to open for Harlowe. Kelly Mantle seems like maybe she will get a gig with Michelle Visage, and if not, she still has her job with Peter Facinelli.
And then marries.
And then Laganja and Alaska have sort of mended their, broken relationship. So they do get to a place where everything seems okay, but then why are you in therapy? And then for Laganja and Alaska, you were told to go to therapy before all of this happened. So the timing of it is just not consistent.
No, I think that Jordan Danger clearly has an admiration for drag and maybe an obsession with it even, but her subjects clearly don't have the power or clout to say like, hey, this is no good. Let me rewrite this. Or because it's most of this, I think really the only one that does a good job of navigating except for that final monologue is Kelly Mantle.
Of the queens, yeah. Luenell's
doing, it's nice to see that she's played against type.
Well, yes, but then it's also like, oh, she's not that fun because she's being very flat and like soothing, I guess, is what she's going for.
Uttering these nonsense profundities that...
And I thought it was funny that God has a tattoo that looks like the artist formerly known as Prince. Mm-hmm. That's all I have. What would you give this movie?
I would give it 1 out of 5. I mean, I of course I don't want to dislike it, but it's just like these people need to be held to a higher standard.
I would give it 1.5. It's not a good film. Unless you really like drag, which I do, I still don't know that you would enjoy it.
It's not worth it. It's just like drives you back to and why we're still like culturally obsessed with RuPaul's Drag Race is because there is, although it is produced, there's a level of these people being authentic. There's authenticity.
I think it's interesting too that RuPaul's Drag Race is brought up more than once in the film, and at one point referenced as like, there's drag outside of RuPaul's Drag Race, which I find ironic because half your cast is from RuPaul's Drag Race. And then you're putting them in a scenario where we're not seeing these drag artists really outside of this one thing that everyone wants to consume. So it seems sort of like unaware of itself.
Well, there's absolutely no interiority to any of these drag queens.
Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.